We welcome you in. It is a special edition of the United Bank Playbook. Tony Caridi along with West Virginia football coach Neal Brown. And obviously, this is an incredibly busy time for everyone involved within Mountaineer football and for you specifically. Let's talk a little priorities. As a coach goes, you always have a list of here's the things I have to knock out today. As you settle in, what's at the top of the list?
I think, Tony, without a doubt, at the top of the list is getting to know our players and having them understand that, to me, it's about relationships and getting to know them not only as a football player but as a person. Normally you go through the process where you recruit them for a year and a half to 2 years. You go do a home visit. They come on multiple unofficials. They do official visits. Unfortunately, we haven't gone through that process. So it's extremely important that I get to know who they are and what they're about. And I think the second priority is the support areas, academic, strength conditioning, player development, those type of things, is getting a feel for, first of all, who those people are, who are leading those areas, making sure their priorities are aligned with our priorities, and just getting an overall feel for those things.
In talking to folks about you and the places that you've gone, the relationships with your players is one of the things that I continue to hear. Who planted that seed into you? When did you have that moment to say, if you're going to be successful at this business, you have to make that a priority?
Well, I think it's not only in football. I think it's in any endeavor, any organization. I think it was instilled with my parents. You know, my mom and dad. My dad was a high school coach and then guidance counselor, then a principal. My mom was an elementary school librarian. So I grew up, I was kind of a gym rat. I grew up in a school. I watched my dad lead schools, and he was very successful in doing so. In watching him, the relationships he had with the people that worked for him in the school, that really drove home to me that it's about the people. And that's what we've tried to do. And to me, it's like this. We want to have a family environment. Everybody says, well, everybody talks about a family environment. What's that mean? To me, it's about relationships, building relationships built on love, care, and trust. In today's age, players got to understand that you care about them. They're not number 5, they're not number 10. They're an individual that has a story, and they got to understand that we want to develop that entire person and get to know them. I think if you do that, if you invest in them, they're going to give you the best they have.
Yeah, absolutely true. You sent out a tweet on social media yesterday saying, when it comes to in-state recruiting, we have got to keep our kids in home. And obviously, I think that probably is another level of what you're saying there. You got to lock it in as a family.
Yeah, well, we have to. You know, this state is unique in the sense that there's no professional teams. West Virginia University, football, basketball, we are front and center. And most of the people here are Mountaineer fans. And it's important that the division, and listen, relatively small population, not as large a number of Division I prospects as some other states with larger populations, but we do play really good football here. And there's really good players. And the Division I players in this state, we have to make a top priority and keep those guys here and make sure they're playing in West Virginia.
Yeah. Clock is winding right now in regard to the next piece of this recruiting cycle. What is a realistic expectation for you?
I think it's too early to tell, honestly. I've got to assess the needs that we have. I haven't done that yet. It's been more about meeting with the players one-on-one than really watching a lot of video from last year. Now we'll move into that probably this weekend. But as far as expectations, I don't know. We're definitely going to add some pieces. There's 1 or 2 pieces in the state that we're going to make a priority and try to speed date, for lack of a better term. But we definitely will add some pieces in the February signing date.
Staff-wise, what's your timetable as to when do you feel you need to have it locked down to? Here is the folks that I have with me.
Well, for me on staffing, it's about getting it right. I'm not worried about getting it done quickly. We're going to add some pieces today and as we move through the next few days. But I want to make sure I'm surrounding our players with the right type of guys. And it's got to be guys that are for the players. They're going to be about the players, that can educate them, teach them not only how to win football games and be the best player they can possibly be, but also how to develop themselves as men and make sure that they're progressing through their degree and setting them up for whatever they want to do in the future. So it's going to be a process. There's a lot of moving pieces, but I do feel the pieces we have in place here, all right, from a fan base, the tradition, we're gonna hire a really high quality staff.
Let's talk a little X's and O's. Why not before we close it up here? Sure. From a philosophical standpoint, it seems as though, in looking at you, you're not, hey, this is what I do and that's all I do. Yeah. Are you going into it as well that way with this team? You're going to assess personnel and say, okay, this is the best way to win?
For sure. I think you got to assess the personnel that's here. And it's not about me. It's not about our defensive coaches. It's not about what we're trying to do schematically. It's about winning football games. And we've got to take the personnel that we have and utilize them the best possible way. And so that's an evaluation process that we really will probably start this weekend. I will say this: offensively, we're going to attack, and we're going to. I always say this: we're a get it done offense. We want to win games, and we want to get explosive plays. We want to spread the field. We want to play at a fast pace, but we also want to be physical up front and run the football. And especially when the weather changes, we got to be able to do that. And on defense, we're going to be about attacking, creating negative plays, sacks, tackles for a loss, takeaways, and then special teams are extremely important. We were #1 in the country last year, according to ESPN, at Troy in special teams efficiency. So all three phases, and looking forward to getting started. That's kind of my wheelhouse.
I hear you. Coach, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. And that is our special edition of the United Bank Playbook. Thanks for being with us.